Yes, the BDS movement, for those who don't know, is the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement against Israel. And it has been pushed largely by one group that's called Students for Justice in Palestine, which is a Hamas offshoot. It legitimately is associated with the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas. It is a group that is as extreme in its practices as it was in its founding. These are people who shout Allahu Akbar at Jews walking around on campus. These are folks who suggest that Israel does not have a right to exist. These are folks who have openly supported terrorism. Those folks are extreme and radical and don't deserve a part in the debate because they can say what they want. It's a free country, but it's they are representing an agenda that's pretty clear, and that is also, it's pretty obvious where they got it, and it's from the bad guys. What's interesting is that the left has bought into the BDS agenda, the idea that you need to sanction Israel. And the reason is because, to go back to my original statement, Israel is rich, its enemies are not. Israel is powerful, its enemies are not. Israel is democratic, its enemies are not. And so what did Israel do to screw these people? Right? It doesn't matter that the Israeli Arabs have it better in Israel than any Arabs anywhere else on the planet, with the exception of the royal family of the Saudis and the royal family in Dubai. The reality is that Israel, the supposed apartheid state, the third biggest party in the Knesset in Israel is the Israeli Arab Party, called the Joint Arab List, that openly advocates for the destruction of the state of Israel. And they sit in the Knesset. 68% of the Arab voting base voted in the last election cycle. 68%, that's better than the turnout in the United States. So this idea that it's an apartheid state, you have to have such a dramatic blindness, and it's purposeful blindness, to the flaws of Israel's opposition to make Israel the bad guy in this conflict. And yet the world is able to do that. I mean, in the last conflict between Israel and Hamas, Hamas was legitimately building tunnels to kidnap small children from Israeli territory and take them back to murder them or hold them hostage, and was firing rockets deliberately into civilian centers while putting its own children in front of rockets. Hamas's headquarters were located under Al-Shifa Hospital in the middle of the Gaza Strip. Their military headquarters were located beneath a hospital, because they knew that Israel was not going to bomb a hospital while the entire world was watching. And yet the world somehow found that Israel was the aggressor and the problem in this particular situation, again, because it always comes down to equality of outcome matters more than good and evil. And by the way, if you believe that equality of outcome matters more than good and evil, you are going to end up fomenting evil, which is what the BDS movement is. I'm also a local talk show host on 870 in the morning, and I got out of bed and left my one-month-old baby there when I saw what was going on here tonight. I've never been more ashamed to be a Bruin. I've never been more ashamed to be an alumnus of this university than to see this divestment petition being considered at this level. To pretend that this is about occupation, to pretend this is about peace, to pretend this is about anything but vile and despicable Jew hatred is a lie. There's only one reason that we are discussing Israel and not discussing Saudi Arabia. There's only one reason we are discussing Israel and not discussing Iran. There's only one reason we are discussing Israel and not discussing Palestine. There's only one reason we are discussing Israel and not discussing the vast bevy of human rights violations that happen every day in the Middle East, exponentially worse than what happens in Israel. Exponentially worse than what happens every day in Israel. Any gay or lesbian in this room who is targeting Israel for divestment seems to have forgotten how high they hang gays from cranes in Iran. Every person of liberal bent who suggests that Israel is the problem in the Middle East seems to have forgotten that there is only one country in the Middle East that actually has any sort of religious diversity in it. The countries that are apartheid countries are those that are Judenrein, like, for example, Palestine. So for us to sit here and pretend that Israel is somehow on a lower moral plane is a direct manifestation of anti-Semitism. To hold Jews to a different than any other country, any other group on the face of the earth represents nothing but an age-old and historic hatred for the Jewish people. And all the folks here who are pretending that BDS is about anything other than that, I would like to see a poll of those folks and see how many of them actually believe in the existence of a Jewish state, quad-Jewish state. Not as a state like any other, but as a Jewish state. They don't acknowledge that existence, they don't believe in that existence, they don't believe in peace. All this is about, pure and simple, is a desire to target the Jewish people.